You wake up at night. Maybe it is 1 a.m. Maybe it is 3 a.m. Your mouth is dry. Your throat is asking for something. So you do what any sensible person does. You reach for the glass of water on the nightstand. You drink it. You go back to sleep. And you feel good about that decision because that is the responsible thing to do. That is taking care of yourself, staying hydrated, not ignoring what your body is asking for. But here is the thing I need to tell you today, and I need you to stay with me through the whole video because what I am about to share is not what you are expecting. That glass of water you are reaching for at 2 in the morning, for millions of adults over 60, it is not simply a glass of water. It is a message, and almost nobody is reading that message correctly. There are two things happening when you wake up thirsty at night after 60. The first thing is something your body is trying to tell you, something specific, something important. That has nothing to do with how much you drank during the day. The second thing is something that the water itself, consumed the wrong way, at the wrong time, in the wrong amount, may actually be making worse without you knowing. I am going to explain both of those things today, in plain language, with real research behind every word. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand something about your own body that most people go their entire lives without being told. Stay with me all the way through. This one matters. I am Dr. Richard Ben. I have spent my career studying what happens to the body after age 60, not just what diseases look like, but what the daily, ordinary, invisible changes of aging mean for every decision you make, including the ones you make at 2 in the morning. And I want to start with something that most people have never been told, because it changes how you understand everything else in this video. After the age of 60, your body's relationship with water changes, fundamentally, measurably, in 3 specific ways. The first change involves a hormone called ADH, antidiuretic hormone. This is the hormone that tells your kidneys to hold water overnight, to concentrate the urine, to let you sleep 6 or 7 or 8 hours without needing to get up. After 60, ADH production begins to decline. The kidneys release more water during sleep than they did when you were 40. The bladder fills faster. The signal to wake arrives earlier. This is why nocturia, waking at night to use the bathroom, is the single most common sleep complaint among adults over 65. Not insomnia, not pain, nocturia. Waking because the body is producing more urine than it should be at that hour. The second change is about the thirst signal itself. After 60, the mechanism that tells you, "I am thirsty," becomes less accurate. Research shows this consistently. Older adults can be meaningfully dehydrated and feel only mild thirst, but they can also feel thirsty at night for reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with dehydration. The alarm is running at a lower volume, and sometimes it is firing for the wrong reason entirely. The third change is in the kidney's ability to concentrate urine, stage by stage, silently, without pain, without any announcement that anything has shifted. 3 changes, working together. Inside a body that wakes up at night reaching for a glass of water without knowing any of this. Tell me in the comments right now, how many times do you wake up at night? Is it thirst that wakes you, or the need to use the bathroom, or both? I read every single comment on this channel. Your answer matters for what comes next. Let me be direct with you. Waking up thirsty at night, consistently, multiple nights a week, for weeks or months, is a clinical signal. It is not just aging. It is not just dry air. It is your body sending a message in a language most people have never learned to read. There are 3 conditions that are very common after 60, very underdiagnosed in their early stages, and all 3 of them produce nighttime thirst as one of their earliest, most consistent signs. The first is blood sugar dysregulation, prediabetes, or undiagnosed type 2 diabetes. Here is how this works. When blood glucose rises above normal levels, it pulls water out of the body's cells through a process called osmosis. Think of it this way. Imagine your cells are small water balloons. When the concentration of sugar in the fluid around them rises, the water gets pulled out through the wall of the balloon. The balloon deflates, and the signal the balloon sends is immediate and clear. More water, right now. The kidneys then try to flush out the excess glucose through urine. More fluid is lost. Thirst increases. And this cycle, sugar pulling water out of cells, kidneys losing more fluid, the body asking for more water, runs quietly. At night, without pain, without any dramatic symptom, just a dry mouth at 2 a.m. and a hand reaching for the nightstand. The Centers for Disease Control estimates that more than 1 in 3 American adults over 65 has prediabetes. More than 8 million Americans have type 2 diabetes and do not know it yet. If you have been waking up thirsty for months and no one has ever checked your blood sugar in connection with that symptom, that is the first thing I want you to take away from this video. The second condition is early kidney function decline. When the concentrating ability of the kidneys begins to weaken, they release more dilute urine overnight. Fluid balance shifts. The thirst signal fires. Not because you did not drink enough during the day, but because the system that was supposed to hold that fluid through the night is not holding as well as it once did. The third cause is one that almost nobody checks. It is medication side effects. Many of the most common medications prescribed to adults over 60, diuretics for blood pressure, certain antihistamines and sleep aids, some medications for anxiety and mood, can cause or worsen nighttime thirst as a direct, documented side effect. It is in the package insert. Most patients are never told to watch for it. 3 causes, all common, all operating quietly, all producing the same result. A person who wakes up at night, reaches for water, and calls it aging. Now, here is where this gets more complicated and more important, because for some adults over 60, specifically those with certain heart conditions, those with early kidney disease, and those on diuretics, drinking large amounts of plain water repeatedly at night is not simply neutral. It carries its own risk that nobody warned them about. There is a condition called dilutional hyponatremia, low blood sodium caused not by losing sodium, but by diluting it with too much water. After 60, the kidney's ability to excrete excess water slows. The balance of sodium in the blood becomes more sensitive. An adult taking a diuretic, with reduced kidney function, drinking half a liter of plain water at 2 a.m. night after night, can shift that balance. Slowly. Quietly. The symptoms of mild hyponatremia are easy to dismiss. Slight confusion on waking. Dizziness when getting up. A vague heaviness that clears by mid-morning. Sound familiar? This is not a reason to stop drinking water. I want to be very clear about that. This is a reason to understand what your thirst is actually telling you before you answer it with volume. Let me take you deeper into the blood sugar connection, because it is more specific than most people realize. Blood sugar does not stay flat through the night. For many adults with prediabetes or undiagnosed type 2 diabetes, there is a pattern called the dawn phenomenon. Between approximately 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., certain hormones rise. Cortisol, growth hormone. These hormones signal the liver to release stored glucose into the blood, preparing the body for the demands of the day ahead. In a healthy person, insulin manages this rise efficiently. In someone with blood sugar dysregulation, insulin cannot keep up. The glucose level climbs, the osmotic pull begins, the thirst signal fires, and this happens at exactly the time when most people report waking up thirsty. The pattern that matters clinically is this: waking consistently between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., feeling genuine thirst, not primarily the urge to void, combined with fatigue that does not resolve after a full night of sleep. That specific 3-part pattern, nighttime thirst at that hour, combined with unrestorative sleep, combined with large urine volumes during the night, is something to take to your physician with the specific language I will give you at the end of this video. But blood sugar is only the first thing your body may be saying. The second is about the organ that is usually already working with reduced capacity by the time you are 60, and it is an organ that almost never announces its own distress. The kidney's most important job during sleep is concentration, not filtration, not waste removal. concentration. Holding the body's water inside while you rest. Producing the least possible urine so that you can sleep a full night undisturbed. This concentrating ability is managed inside tiny structures in the kidney called tubules. Think of them as the final adjusters in the filtration system. Everything that has been filtered passes through the tubules, and the tubules decide, does this water stay or does it go? When the tubular cells weaken, as they do quietly, as part of the normal aging of the kidney, the answer changes. More water goes, less is held. The bladder fills faster overnight, and the body sends a thirst signal to replace what was lost. Here's the analogy I want you to hold on to. Think of the kidney as a water treatment plant. During the day, the plant processes waste steadily, but overnight the plant is supposed to slow down, to enter a conservation mode, to hold fluid inside the system until morning. When the tubular machinery ages, the plant cannot fully switch into conservation mode. Water keeps moving through. The reserves drop. The thirst signal fires at 2 a.m. Drinking a glass of water answers the symptom. It does not fix the plant. Understanding the difference between answering a symptom and addressing its source is one of the most important things a person can do for their long-term health after 60. The water helps for an hour. Then the process continues, and there is one more layer, the third one, the one that connects blood sugar, kidneys, medications, and the quality of sleep itself into one cycle that most adults over 60 are living inside of right now without knowing it has a name. Here is the cycle that nobody explains. Poor sleep reduces ADH. Reduced ADH means more urine production overnight. More urine means more waking. More waking means more fluid intake. More fluid intake means more urine. And more waking means worse sleep. This is a loop. And once it is running, every part of it feeds every other part. After 60, the quality of deep sleep, the stages where the body fully restores itself, declines naturally. Less time in deep sleep means less ADH released. Less ADH means the kidneys work in overnight conservation mode for fewer hours. More fluid passes through. The bladder fills. The person wakes. They drink water. Their bladder fills again. They wake again. Their sleep fragments further. ADH drops further. And layered on top of this, medications. Diuretics, water pills prescribed for blood pressure and heart health, are among the most commonly prescribed medications for adults over 60. They work by increasing urine output. When they are taken in the evening, their peak effect often arrives at exactly the wrong time, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., just when the body is supposed to be in conservation mode. Many physicians prescribe diuretics without discussing timing. Many patients have never been told, take this in the morning, not at night. That single change, moving a diuretic from evening to morning, improves nighttime waking for many patients within the first week. 3 layers, blood sugar, kidney concentration, sleep and medication, all producing the same symptom, all being answered with the same glass of water, and only one of them actually needs the water. The kidneys, blood sugar dysregulation, and sleep disruption all share something in common. They produce symptoms that are quiet, easy to explain away, easy to attribute to aging and move on. I want to walk you through 6 signs. For each one, I want to tell you what most people assume it means, and what it may actually be telling you. Sign 1. What most people assume: prostate, bladder, age. What it may mean: the pattern that points toward kidney concentrating failure or blood sugar dysregulation is this: waking 2 or more times, producing meaningful amounts of urine each time, not urgency with small volume, large volume. If you are waking 3 times and filling the toilet each time, that is a kidney or blood sugar pattern. If you are waking with strong urgency but producing very little, that is a different story. More likely bladder or prostate. The distinction matters enormously for what your doctor should be looking at. Sign 2. What most people assume: poor sleep, tension, sinus pressure. What it may mean: morning headache that disappears as the day progresses, is a documented sign of 2 things: sleep apnea, which disrupts ADH and contributes to the Nocturia cycle, and mild overnight hyponatremia, where blood sodium has shifted during the night and normalizes as morning fluid balance restores. Either one is worth mentioning specifically to your doctor, not as a headache complaint, but as a morning headache that clears by 10 a.m. Sign 3. What most people assume: dry air, getting older, not drinking enough. What it may mean: thirst that is not explained by heat, exercise, or salt intake. Thirst that does not fully resolve after drinking a normal amount is the classic early warning of blood sugar dysregulation. The key word is despite. If you are drinking a reasonable amount throughout the day and still waking thirsty at night, the cause is not intake. The cause is something inside the system pulling that fluid out of the cells, regardless of how much you put in. Sign 4. What most people assume: age, poor sleep quality, too much on the mind. What it may mean: the fatigue from blood sugar dysregulation and the fatigue from kidney decline both have a specific character. They are present before the day has started. They are not relieved by a full night of sleep. Coffee touches the surface but does not reach the core of it. If you recognize this, a heaviness that greets you in the morning before anything has happened to cause it, that is not a sleep complaint. That is a metabolic or kidney complaint wearing a sleep complaint's clothes. Sign 5. What most people assume: they simply need water. What it may mean: thirst without the concurrent urge to void at night is a specific pattern. It points more towards cellular dehydration from blood sugar than toward kidney or diuretic mechanisms, which both produce increased urine output. Waking thirsty but not needing to go consistently is the blood sugar pattern. This distinction is important and worth describing to your physician precisely. Sign 6. What most people assume: waking too fast, low blood pressure on standing, age. What it may mean: this is the sign I want you to take most seriously. Confusion or unsteadiness when rising at night, especially in adults taking diuretics or consuming large volumes of water, can indicate hyponatremia or significant orthostatic hypotension. It is a fall risk. It is a cardiac risk in vulnerable adults. This is not the symptom to explain away. This is the symptom to describe to your physician at the next available opportunity. None of these is a diagnosis. What matters is patterns, persistence, more than one of these showing up together, across weeks and months, consistently. If you have been living with 2 or 3 of these and explaining each one separately as aging, that explanation may be costing you the one thing that matters most: time to act while the window is still open. I want to tell you about a patient named George. George was 72, retired electrician, practical man, self-reliant. The kind of person who does not make an appointment unless something is clearly wrong. He started waking up 2, sometimes 3 times a night about 18 months before I saw him. His wife thought it was his prostate. His previous doctor checked the prostate. Normal. The nocturia was noted in his chart and attributed to age. He was told to reduce fluids after 6 p.m. George tried that. He still woke up thirsty, so he kept a large glass of water on the nightstand and drank from it every time he woke. Sometimes a full glass, sometimes more. Nobody asked him how much he was drinking at those waking moments. Nobody asked him, is it thirst that wakes you, or the need to void? Nobody connected the nighttime pattern to anything that needed investigating. He came to me not because of the thirst. He came because he was exhausted. Doctor, he told me, I sleep 8 hours, and I wake up already tired. It's been like this for almost a year. I keep waiting for it to pass. I asked him one question that nobody had asked him before. I asked it simply. When you wake up at night, is it the thirst that wakes you, or do you feel the thirst after you wake? He thought about it. The thirst, he said. The thirst is what wakes me. Dry mouth. Every time. We ran his blood work. His HbA1c, the 3-month average of his blood sugar levels, came back at 7.2. Undiagnosed type 2 diabetes. His fasting glucose had been elevated for what appeared to be at least a year, possibly longer. The osmotic thirst, The sugar-pulling water out of his cells every night during the dawn hormone surge had been waking him consistently for 18 months. He had been answering a blood sugar signal with water. The water helped the symptom for an hour. Then the glucose pulled the fluid back out again, and the cycle continued. We addressed the blood sugar. We adjusted the timing of one of his medications. We did not put him on a complicated protocol. We started with those two things. 6 weeks later, waking once per night instead of 3 times. 8 weeks later, energy in the morning for the first time in almost a year. "You're telling me the thirst was trying to tell me something this whole time," he said when he came back in. I told him, "Yes. It was telling you something the whole time, and nobody had taken the time to translate it. George was not careless. George was not ignoring his health. George was a thoughtful man who did the reasonable thing. He drank water when he was thirsty. What he was never given was the translation for what his body was actually saying. That is why this video exists. If this video is giving you something you did not have before, a piece of the picture you were missing, please give it a like and subscribe. Every week I bring you the clinical information your physician believes in, but does not have 17 minutes in an appointment to explain. No products, no supplements to sell, just the science explained for you. And tell me in the comments, how many times do you wake up at night? Have you been told it is just aging? I want to hear your story. I want to be precise about something before I give you these steps. If you have been waking up thirsty at night, I am not telling you that you have diabetes or kidney disease. I am telling you that your body may have been sending a signal that deserves a proper response. And I'm going to give you 4 clear, specific, immediately actionable steps to begin that response today. Step 1. Track the pattern for 2 weeks. Before your next doctor's appointment, keep a simple morning log. Write down 3 things every morning. How many times you woke up, whether it was thirst or the urge to void that woke you, and approximately how much you drank each time. 2 weeks of this turns a vague complaint into a specific pattern. A doctor who hears, "I wake up at night," and a doctor who sees a 2-week log showing 3 awakenings per night, each initiated by thirst, with approximately 200 milliliters consumed each time. Those are 2 very different conversations. One leads to reduce fluids after 6 p.m. The other leads to blood work. The log is the difference. Step 2. Ask your doctor for 3 specific tests. Write these down. I want you to have the exact words. The first test is HbA1c, hemoglobin A1c. This measures your average blood sugar over the last 3 months. It is a standard blood test. It does not require fasting. It tells you whether blood sugar dysregulation is a possible source of your nighttime thirst. The second test is eGFR, estimated glomerular filtration rate. This is a kidney function test. It measures how well your kidneys are filtering your blood. It is typically included in routine blood work, but may not be flagged for discussion unless it is significantly outside normal range. Ask to see the number. Ask what it means specifically for you. The third test is serum sodium. This is a simple blood test that checks whether your blood sodium is in the normal range. If you have been drinking large volumes of water at night over a period of months, this is the test that tells you whether the balance has shifted. The sentence to bring to your appointment is this: I have been waking up consistently thirsty at night. I would like to check my HbA1c, my eGFR, and my serum sodium. That is not an unusual request. That is not excessive. That is you walking into your doctor's office with the language to have the right conversation. Step 3. Ask about your medication timing. If you are taking a diuretic, any medication that increases urine output, often prescribed for blood pressure or fluid retention, ask your physician one specific question. Can this be moved to morning dosing? Many diuretics can be taken in the morning without any loss of effectiveness. Their peak effect then arrives during the day, not at 3 a.m. This single timing adjustment has a documented impact on nighttime waking for many patients. You are not asking to stop the medication. You are asking about timing. That is a simple, low-risk, entirely reasonable conversation. Step 4. Change how you answer nighttime thirst, not whether you answer it. This is the most important step, and I want to explain it carefully. I am not telling you to stop drinking water at night. I am telling you not to drink large volumes in response to a signal you have not yet understood. A small amount of water, 4 to 6 ounces, a few sips, is appropriate and safe for virtually everyone. It relieves the immediate symptom. It poses no risk. Half a liter, night after night, without knowing whether the thirst is from cellular dehydration, from blood sugar, from reduced kidney concentration, or from a medication effect. That is answering a message with a response that may not match what the message was saying. Sip. Then investigate the source. That is the principle. Everything I have shared with you today is educational. It is drawn from published, peer-reviewed research and represents my honest clinical perspective after decades of working with older adults. It is not a diagnosis. It is not a prescription. It is the complete picture that a 17-minute appointment does not have time to deliver. If any of the signs I described sounded familiar, please do not use this video as a substitute for seeing your physician. Use it as the reason to go. Bring the log, bring the test names, bring the questions. Your doctor is your partner in this, and you are now far better equipped to have that conversation than you were before you pressed play. You may be watching this because something has been quietly bothering you for a while. Maybe you recognized one of those warning signs, maybe 2 of them. Maybe you have been waking up thirsty for months and telling yourself, this is just what happens now. This is just getting older. I want to say something to you directly. You were not wrong to drink the water. You were doing what your body asked. What a reasonable, careful person does at 2 in the morning. What you were not given was the translation. What the asking actually meant. Nobody sat with you and said, that thirst at 2 a.m. has a source. Let's find the source. Let's run the right 3 blood tests. Let's look at the timing of your medications. Let's read the message your body has been sending every single night, instead of just answering it with water and going back to sleep. The system did not give you this. That is not a small thing. And I do not want you to leave this video carrying any version of blame for a habit you built in good faith. Now you know. And knowing changes what is possible from this moment forward. You watch this video to the end. You stayed through the science. You stayed through George's story. You are still here. That is not passive behavior. That is a person who refuses to let their health be managed by incomplete information. That is exactly the person this channel exists for. Tell me in the comments, are you going to track your pattern this week? Or have you already spoken to your doctor about nighttime waking and discovered something important? Both stories matter here. I read every single comment.